Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this regular council meeting for February the 18th, 2025 to order at 7:01 p.m. We'll stay seated for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you very much. As we gather this evening, I acknowledge on behalf of council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history. And we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. Excuse me. We also thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. We'll move on to the mayor's address. Open the documents, or yes, please. Thank you. In my Roma conference report, I indicated that I attended a delegation with the County of Renfrew advocating for funding to establish a community of care campus adjacent to our two long-term care homes. The intention is to provide traditional housing for seniors in need of affordable, supportive environments. The delegation was well received, and a follow-up meeting was requested in the spring following the election. MPP John Yakubuski made two funding announcements for Renfrew County prior to the election and his retirement from politics. The first announcement was awarding and funding a heart hub for Renfrew County located in Pembroke. The MESA program will be integrated with the heart hub to provide transitional housing, healthcare, and mental health support as part of the rehabilitation services for individuals on their recovery journey. The second announcement was for $2.8 million to help fund a new roundabout in Petawawa. The county was also successful in their application for funding of $216,000 for the warning center. During the past month, I attended 9 meetings for county and/or municipal business. On February the 6th, County Council approved the 2025 budget with a 5.5% levy increase. I want to thank our public works staff for their work clearing and maintaining our roads after the significant snowfall events we experienced last week. With the election of a new president in the United States and the threat of 25% tariffs and potential trade war, there's a renewed focus on buying Canadian and removing the trade barriers between our provinces. The next 4 years will be challenging for Canadian businesses, residents, and the Canadian economy. In conclusion, I want to provide some clarification in response to a recent letter to the editor in the Eagle Leader regarding the snowdrifters. The capital costs that were identified for the new generator, the high-capacity anaerobic septic treatment system, and some additional capital improvement items were almost entirely funded with provincial and federal grant dollars. In addition, property tax dollars are not used to buy real estate. Property was transferred to the municipality for the sum of $2. The operational costs in 2024 were offset by the rental of the Site 10 Bridge grass for an equipment staging area and the lease of the basement to the Ottawa Valley Food Co-op. It is worth mentioning that the Eganville and District Figure Skating Club and the Eganville Minor Hockey Association benefited from the Poacher Cup races by volunteering their time to prepare and serve food and refreshments in the kitchen as a fundraising opportunity. They experienced the value of community service while supporting their organizations. And that is my mayor's address. And I have a motion that the February 18th, 2025 mayor's report and the 2025 Roman report be accepted as presented. Moved by Councillor Buckwell, seconded by Councillor Schoenfeld. Comments? Seeing none, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? Seeing none, then we'll move to the adoption of the minutes, and I have a motion that the January 22nd, 2025 regular council minutes be approved as presented. Moved by Councillor Buchwald, seconded by Councillor Robinson. Any additions, corrections, or omissions? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We have no delegations tonight, so we'll move on to reports. And item 7.1 is the Recreation Committee. And I have motion that council approves the Recreation Committee terms of reference as presented. Moved by Councillor Becky Schoenfeld, seconded by Councillor Buchwald. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Item 7.2 is the Boncher Union Public Library, and I have a motion that council accepts the Boncher Community Library CEO and board reports as information. Moved by Councillor Byrne, seconded by Councillor Buchwald. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Item 7.3 is in regards to bulk vouchers. I have a motion that the bulk item disposal service be discontinued, or that staff research all administration costs and that disposal and administration costs be expensed through council donations or council public relations budget. I have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Byrne, seconded by Councillor Robinson. Comments, questions? Councillor Schoenfeld.
So I see how this does cost money, but we are providing a service to the public. And like, to me, whether it comes out of council donations or public relations or whatever line it came out for, it's still coming out of the same. I realize lots of times, like for instance, the taxpayers pay for the library, and I may never go to the library. The taxpayers pay for our contribution to the Eganville rink. And I did use that in the past when my kids were young. Not everybody uses everything that we provide to our township. Maybe can we go back to what we did before, where we get one of the big bins, and you know, at a certain Saturday it would be here, and then that next Saturday in the fall it would be at Shaw at Brent Road. Is that a cost saving? Because then we don't have the staff looking for roll numbers, or we're not putting in the vouchers, or having to look at vouchers. Because there are some people that do use it.
Councillor Buchwald.
I think one of the things too, and one of the reasons I think why not as many people use it is because it was made more difficult for them to use it. They had to come in and get their thing. They had to go to the waste recovery when we used to have to house of our own sites. And yeah, I know there are people that use it, and I agree with Councillor Ricky Shankfeld that I think it's a worthwhile service and continue.
The cost of putting the bin here would be, they'd have to be a public works person here on that Saturday.
Yeah.
But it's one Saturday, and perhaps it's like you come in on Saturday and you get Monday off. I don't know whether public works superintendent.
It would have to be approved in the ECA of the site. So I don't know if there is, I'd have to check, but your environmental compliance approval would have to have inside of it before you would be allowed to do that.
In the past, I remember they had the bin out here and people just put it and that stuff. I don't know what it was like at Brentwood.
At Berkeley, yeah, we had a bin down there too. I'm pretty sure it's allowed under our CLA. That's above.
I'm not sure. I'd have to check.
Because I know for the number of years that we've done it, I know it has come to council before. I'd like to see the chips go back into the tax bills. That way it's nothing for staff to track. It's another piece that goes in there. It goes in, if it doesn't get used, once it's made more accessible, then maybe we revisit it next year.
I have to agree with both of them. We're raising taxes 9% and we have to give the taxpayers something to use. We don't give it very much. And of course, I'm not in favor of it at all. When we look at the numbers and only 200 and some picked up coupons, 75 got used. Some of them were people who have cottages and were bringing stuff from their home in Ottawa. It's a service for so few of residents, and it has to be somebody who has access to a truck or a trailer in order to utilize it. It's such a, it's a benefit only for those who take advantage of it, and it's such a small percentage of our residents. I really don't see the value. That's right, Michelle.
I would have to say the library is the same. We pay a lot for the library. It's a benefit to some, but not all of our people that live in North Algona. So to me, if we do a little bit for everybody, then at least somebody gets something for the tax value.
Well, at least 30% of the residents use the library compared to the 1% that use these vouchers. Councilor Robinson?
I'm sort of on the fence with it, but every other municipality does provide an ability for people to dispose of large items. And I'm just concerned that yes, it might not be a huge amount, but during certain times of the year, they'll always keep putting things out to dispose of items. And we have not given the ability, except when we're doing it through vouchers. Not sure why we went through the voucher mode, but having a bin that people can drop things off, I think would be a fair alternative without us having to do any administrative things.
Other than staff time.
Well, operational staff time.
Operational
On the
staff,
CAs,
yeah.
Yeah,
There's the cost for the bid also, right?
Yes.
yes.
And it's both of them, so, I mean, I think that would be a greater cost than the vouchers.
Vouchers are costing $750.
That's all right.
Could we table this until we get more information? Adrian could find out how much it would cost for that one day, including operational time.
For both locations.
That's right, and we already know what this was, but I mean, I agree that perhaps if the vouchers had been mailed out to them, there might have been a greater response. I also agree that not everybody's using it, but I still feel like it's something we can do, just as Councilor Robinson said. Lots of municipalities have a big dump day or a big whatever garbage day,
Yeah,
and you know, we don't have that. And unfortunately, those people that were bringing garbage from Ottawa, that's bad on them, right? We can't control everybody.
staff,
The tax bills will be going out before the next council meeting.
we have to make a decision tonight.
Either that or we'd have to call a special meeting just for this.
Well, another thing is, I mean, the other options, would council be satisfied with just maybe one, because it's always, again, I understand twice a year. Could we, by way of this report, come back with other options, but just commit to a fall?
Sure.
And then send it with the final tax bill and
Yes.
the interims.
I think too, that was part, just through discussion in the office, that the twice a year is also. Yeah, it's, and I wonder if maybe just a fall cleanup. Reports can be brought to council.
Probably done.
Do I have to redo this resolution?
Yes, we will.
Yes,
Well, we can defeat, oh, I guess we don't even need to defeat that, because, you know,
Well, we could defeat it or just add that it'd be brought back. To the
how
council meeting.
about we just defeat it and stop and.
Bring it back.
Bring back a report at the next meeting.
Sure, because that's way too much for a friendly amendment.
Yeah,
yeah,
Okay. All in favor? No,
No.
no, go the wrong way.
Are you in favor of discontinuing?
Yes, I am.
Yes,
Hold it,
Oh,
discontinue.
No,
defeating it.
in favor of this resolution to discontinue.
yeah, we're not voting to defeat this.
You're voting to approve that.
So if you want to cancel it completely, you're voting in favor.
Well, you're not.
If you want it to be brought back by staff, you're voting against.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yes, against it
Okay.
is. Hold it.
All in favor,
Off.
opposed, it's defeated.
So are we giving staff direction to bring a report, another report back?
I
Okay,
I have message.
thank you.
Item 7.4 is the Roma conference, and I have a motion that council accepts Councillor Robinson's Roma 2025 report as information. Moved by Councillor Burke, seconded by Councillor Wolf. Comments or questions? Councillor Ricky Schoenfeld.
Thanks for both Councilor or Mayor Rose and Councilor Robinson's report, because it gives us a good idea of what's going on. I mean, I like the thing about the rural mental health and addiction. That's important because we're in rural. I know we don't have necessarily a lot of designated agricultural land in North Algona. Do have lots of farms.
And what I liked about it is the presentation that was done for farmers. I thought that was really because it's oftentimes an area that your neighbor doesn't know exactly what's going on. And if that individual is having mental health, to have a environment where they can actually speak to someone is quite important.
And with the chat GBT, was that like they were like concerned about like counselors using it or staff using
Just
it?
in general, how it's going to impede how we do business. And just like in the schools, kids are writing essays by giving instruction to an AI environment.
Mhm.
And how is that going to overflow into other areas of communication?
Mhm.
I think that's where you really gets coming.
Thanks.
Okay.
And I would just like to add that, again, I encourage every member of council to attend some of these conferences because the connections you make, the workshops that are provided. I mean, when you're part of a delegation, you miss some of the concurrent sessions because you're committed to your delegation, but it's just connecting with other municipalities and gaining some of the knowledge from situations that they're dealing with that a lot of times are the same ones that we experience. So, and I would really encourage staff to, or council, I should say, staff as well to take advantage of these opportunities. Seeing no other comments, I'll call a vote, all in favor. And that's carried, thank you. Item 7.5 is the Public Works Report, and I have a motion that council accepts this report, Public Works surplus equipment, and that council deems the 2007 Sterling tandem truck with sanding box and plow equipment as surplus equipment, and that council directs staff to place the 2007 Sterling tandem with sanding box and plow equipment for sale. Moved by Councillor Burke, seconded by Councillor Robinson. Comments? Councillor Ricky Schoenfeld.
Do you pay a percentage on gov deals or like how?
There is, yes, absolutely. So they provide all of the software that we put all the information in, and they put it up to the public, and there is a percentage. I'm not sure what the percentage is, but it's very little. We've sold 2 pieces of equipment already this year on it, and it seemed to be seamless. This truck we did use last year. Of course, my first year, so it's a little bit tentative getting rid of it because it's always hard to get rid of a vehicle you may be able to use. So we did use it as a water truck for the summertime. while we were grading and then sweeping the roads. But it's lost legs right now, so
Just don't tell anyone.
I would hope to get maybe 25 to 30,000 for this in the videos.
Still operational then.
It is still operational, yes. Yeah, we have a park up top with the annual is due at the end of January, and I just finished it anyway.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Adrian.
I'm gonna-
Item 7.6 is the fire department, and I have a motion that council approves executing bylaw 2025-10 to enter into an extrication services agreement with the First Nation of the Algonquins of Pickpockendom. Moved by Councillor Buckwell, seconded by Councillor Bird. Questions, comments? Councillor Recchi Schoenfeld?
So when we get, or when the fire department gets called to go there,
Yes.
they basically pay everything, like we don't pay our firefighters any more money, that's covered in this agreement, right?
That's correct.
Like they pay firefighters. Yeah, that's what I thought.
The apparatus is at the MTO rate. And actually firefighters are $50 call.
One question I had, so because are any, I guess it's a question, are any of their firefighters trained in auto extrication?
Not to my knowledge, no.
So on site, then they really can take over site command then.
Well, they can take over site command because there's lots of other details that have to be looked after. But the way it's written is the rescue group would work under rescue group supervisor, which is our personnel.
Okay,
So and that person would report to the person that's the acting incident commander, which would be Pickpocket. It's their scene where you're there to do a specific job, and then we have.
can they override decisions you make as far as extrication goes? Like, how does that? Or it's too early to tell.
It's too early to tell on that, but with something like that, typically the discretion would be the better part of any incident commander. If you don't know, it's like having a hazmat team and you don't tell them how to do their job. It's the same sort of affair.
It sounds like it's a good agreement and
It's a win-win for both of us.
right. Well, congratulations for making that happen.
I mean, it's been a long road, but
Right. Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor? And that's carried, thank you. And 7.7 is records retention. And I have a motion, council approves the records retention schedule and passes bylaw 2025-09 for the same. Moved by Councillor Buckwell, seconded by Councillor Robinson. Comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried, thank you. And 7.8, thanks a lot, Kevin.
thank you, sir.
Is council remuneration, and I have motion that council accepts the report as presented. Moved by Councillor Buckwell, seconded by Councillor Schoenfeld. Comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Item 7.9 is building fees. And I have a motion that council accepts the report as presented. Moved by Councillor Buckwell, seconded by Councillor Schoenfeld. Comments or questions? Councillor Schultz.
That would have been better maybe if Jen was here, but the vehicle and mileage there at $5,467, is that, we don't know, like, why would mileage be in there if they have their own car? If they have a township car? Yeah, okay.
So open it up. Well, it's vehicle slash mileage, so, I suppose that could just be taken as possibly vehicle.
And it just seems that it's, well, we're in a deficit position, it seems like fairly significant. I mean, I'm not quite, like, to me, that is fairly significant.
Councillor Robinson.
I was just going to make a point that the total wages and benefits is probably not just for the building. It had so much was discussed earlier.
But, and it would be nice though if there was a little note stating that, because I mean, it's a fairly deceiving amount here, right? And if it is because of this position, somehow that to me should be costed, just like when we were talking about the custodian. How when you look at and line by line, you'll see like Golden Lake has something for the custodian and Snowdrifts has something for the custodian and Bishop has something for the custodian. So I mean, to me, it's deceiving if we look at the wage and that's because of, you know, to me, this should be separate. We should just be seeing the CBO as opposed to.
And I think that was the comment that she had to bring something back, written that.
Is that something that we could ask Luke, if you could just follow up with Jen on that, or
Yeah, certainly, just to note a couple of things, so, yeah, we're into the policy to discuss that, that's an option, but also, what that report does is follows a formula provided under the Building Code Act for statutory reporting, so, Jen would have taken that at its face value to say report on revenues and expenses. And so, you know, if we're looking at something maybe a little bit different of a breakdown, it's not just that report was more simplistic than that. It was just meeting the requirements of that act.
yes, what I'm hearing council say is it would be nice to get a little more detail.
Yes, that's right.
Anything else? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Item 710 is the Renfrew County Community Development Grant. And I have a motion that council accepts the Renfrew County Community Development Fund report as presented, and further the council directs staff to apply for the Renfrew County Community Development Fund. We have a moved by Councillor Bucknell, seconded by Councillor Burke. Comments or questions? Councillor Schultz.
Do you know how much you'd try and get?
So it's $5,000.
So you would apply for $10,000, so we would have to come up with 5.
So, we would have to come up with 5, but we would take it out of the grant that we already have. Do you want to maybe pull up the? So there would be no cost to impact, it would be already, secured fund, yes, please. Already secured funds.
Okay.
So, if we go down to the financial implications, yeah, so secured funds from the active transportation grant would cover the township's 50% co-payment for the grant.
So it cost us 5, and we pull that 5 from that grant.
We would be pulling approximately 3,800 from that grant, and then the other is we spend $750 on the Renfrew County roadmap already. We've done that for the last few years. And then the other one would be the Madawaska Valley Studio Tour advertisement, and other potential advertising costs. So it'd be about $1,000 of things that we already spend money on. And then the remainder would come from grants that we already have secured.
The Madawaska, we don't have any artists in our township that,
We do actually, there is a report specifically about that one that's coming up later.
okay,
Is this grant through the county?
So this is through CFEC,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so it's a new grant with community features.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried, thank you. That brings us to non-action items. So item 9.1 is council, I have a motion that council accepts correspondence items 9.1.1 to 9.1.8 as information. Moved by Councillor Robinson, seconded by Councillor Buckwell. Comments, opinions? Seeing none, all in favor? Carrie, thank you. Item 9.2.1. Whereas the Township of North Algona Wilberforce received correspondence from the Township of Kellavue, Haggerty, and Richards, and that the Council of the Township of North Algona Wilberforce supports the motion that the county reconsiders the rationalization assessment proposal and collaborates with affected municipalities to find alternate solutions. And therefore, a copy of this resolution will be forwarded to the Township of Kellavue, Haggerty, and Richards and the County of Renfrew. Mover and seconder, moved by Councillor Buckwell, seconded by Councillor Schoenfeld. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried, thank you. Item 9.2.2 is regarding Hope Air. And I have a motion that the Council of North Algona Wilberforce supports Hope Air in advocating the Ontario government for funding to ensure equitable access to healthcare for all. And therefore, a copy of this resolution will be forwarded to the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, and the Honourable Sylvia Jones, Minister of Health. Moved by Councillor Burns, seconded by Councillor Buckwell. Comments, questions? So Hope Air operates, I believe, in every province except Ontario right now, and that's why they're pushing to get the Ontario government to support this initiative. And it's just to help get people to a hospital if they're in a remote community for a certainly limited or no cost. All in favor? And that's carried, thank you. Item 9.2.3 is the Renfrew County 55+ days. And I have a resolution or a motion that council supports the Renfrew County 55+ games through a financial donation of $250 from the council public relations budget. Moved by Councillor Robinson, seconded by Councillor Buckwell. Comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried, thank you. And 9.2.4 is Eganville Leader, and I have a motion that council directs staff to purchase a 1/4 page ad in the 2025 Eganville Leader Irish Edition magazine in the amount of $250 plus HST. Moved by Councillor Robinson, seconded by Councillor Burns. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Item 9.2.5 is the Madawaska Valley Studio Tour, and I have a motion that council supports the Madawaska Valley Studio Tour 2025 through the $290 partnership if the township's Renfrew County Community Development Grant application is successful. Moved by Councillor Bird, seconded by Councillor Robinson. Questions, comments?
So this is that one.
Okay. So do we have any fillers, Vincent?
Yeah, so if you wanna pull up the report, it has,
No, there's no report, there's just the,
oh, I did.
It's just the brochure, just talks about studio tutor and patron.
Okay, well, I did write a report, but essentially 20% of the studio tour individuals are from our township.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we have, the Northern Viking Farm. And we've got a blacksmith, a weaver, painter, and a soap maker.
Yeah,
So pretty good diverse array.
okay.
And it also goes, it's Highway 60, so essentially it would be, it's, people will be driving through the little.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Robinson?
Is this the first time that we're actually supporting the tour itself?
Oh, we've funded it before.
last year you did.
We didn't last year. That's why I mean, I've heard the tour before, but. Okay,
But if that grant comes to you, it's not really, it won't be coming out.
so it's conditional on that.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried, thank you. So that brings us to bylaws. Now therefore, the Council of North Algona Wilberforce enact the following bylaw, bylaw 2025-10 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a fire protection agreement between the Corporation of North Algona Wilberforce Township and the Algonquins of Pequotnagon. Moved by Councillor Bird, seconded by Councillor Robinson. Councillor Bird? That's worked out really good for him because that reserve got really busy in the last 10 years. Really has.
Yeah.
Any other comments? All in favor? And that's carried, thank you. Yeah, and I have another bylaw, bylaw 2025-11 in regards to records retention. Now therefore, the Council of North Algona Wilberforce enact the following bylaw. Being a bylaw to adopt a records retention bylaw to establish a schedule of retention periods for the records of the Corporation of North Algona Wilberforce Township. Moved by Councillor Buckland, seconded by Councillor Rachel Schenkel. Comments? All in favor? And that's carried, thank you. Are there any matters of urgency? Councillor Buckland.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to raise one from our budget presentation that we had earlier tonight. I think there were some questions that some members of council would like to have answered. So my suggestion would be that we set a deadline for members of council to approach the CAO for further information so that we can keep the budget process moving in a timely manner. Which is the reason why I'm asking to treat it as a matter of urgency as opposed to waiting for our next meeting.
And I'll turn to the clerk. Do we need a resolution for that, or is this direction to staff?
That's actually fair.
Well, it almost seemed like it was direction to council, because of providing a timeline to get some some questions and, but back to the, conversation that we started and we'll pick up here is how council would like to proceed if there's sufficient matters and questions outstanding from the budget presentation. If we would like to reconvene then to discuss them or, the council, or presumably the next step would be to roll into, the statutory public meeting for the budgets in and around here with the convention.
So I guess my question would be then if council can get the questions answered that they need answered. And there isn't a feeling that we need another meeting. Or does council want another meeting before we have a public meeting? I guess that is the bigger question, Councilor Robinson.
Well, the only thing that I was thinking is that if we are going to have another meeting, it has to be next week.
It would be, yeah.
And so if we today's Tuesday, if by what much time do you need to publish a second meeting? Well,
Sorry,
but what's the deadline to establish an additional?
2 days notice for a special.
Especially 40 hours.
48 hours?
Yeah.
So if we cannot get our questions answered, we should be having another meeting.
I mean, and also another way to look at this is, are we ready to move to the statutory public meetings? Does it say to the public, this is the council's budget proposal?
Councilor Bishop.
So I could meet with Jan and I could meet with you and like I could get my questions answered. But I mean, I don't know, sometimes I'd like to like hear what questions maybe Maria had and maybe what Doug had, because then I'm learning as people are questioning, because maybe you're seeing something that I never thought about before. So like, to me, just to be all inclusive, I'd rather have a meeting where, you know, maybe it'll only be a half an hour or maybe it'll be an hour and a half. So then at least we'll all be on the same page and the way moving forward. But if you decide not to have the meeting, I mean, I'm fine with talking to Luke and talking to Jan about my questions, but you'll never know what my questions are.
So I guess what I'm hearing is it's probably best to schedule another meeting and maybe for next Tuesday, if that works for everyone.
Yeah.
And it only has the effect of keeping things moving along, because I don't want to get to maybe a budget approval and then find out that we're not ready.
So we're not, yeah. So we're saying next Tuesday.
Yeah, next Tuesday at 7.
Okay, is it better if it's earlier, then the staff doesn't have to come in later? Like, I mean, I could come early, I don't
If
know.
it's something brief, we could probably do an afternoon meeting. I'm tied up until 1.
Right, but we could, but we could do it before 7. And then staff could leave normally.
4 o'clock work for everybody.
We tentatively have the Water Cup debrief meeting at 4:30.
Oh, right.
So we could, I'm on personally to have an afternoon meeting, but I don't know if people's schedules are like that.
So where's the Gloucester Cup debrief?
Here,
So I wonder how long that would take. Wouldn't take on more than an hour.
you know, like we could comment on it.
Like, so, like, even if we met at 5:30,
Or before.
oh yeah, before, but Doug can't be there.
Anything after 1 o'clock should work for me.
Oh, okay,
So
3.
sure. So 3 o'clock on the 25th.
sure. 3 o'clock.
That sounds good to me.
Okay. Are there any notices of motion? Seeing none, so we'll move on to reports from committees and I have a motion that council accepts the Recreation Committee Chair January report as information. Moved by Council Brent, seconded by Council Buckley. Questions or comments? Councilor Schoenfeld.
So we always seem to be a month behind, but anyway, just dates to keep in. April 19th for the Easter egg hunt at Shaw Woods. I've talked to Cameron about that legacy funding from the Winter Games. And we were trying to get pickleball equipment, but she's gonna talk to some people at Rankin. So she's hoping to maybe piggyback that on, which would be good, because that would save the rec committee some money. So there we go.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah. And did you want to talk about the other,
The tractor pull?
yeah, I wasn't sure, or,
Sure. Kevin Clark has been in contact with a group of people that do a truck and tractor pull. So a truck is like a big truck and a tractor is obviously like a tractor. And the company or the organization, they bring in tractors and they bring in trucks and they bring in that boat that makes it go back and forth. And then he's also talking to some people that do the lawn tractor pulls. I guess, and I know some of the guys, because they used to go to Opeongo, so it's like younger guys and they're pulling tractors. He's also talked to an old car club about bringing some cars in and having that there. And then he's also talked about having like a big tractor truck, big transport show and shine. And so he has a date tentatively booked June 28th, but there are some negotiations that council has to be aware of.
yeah, and so the reason we're talking about this, so this was kind of mentioned at one of the rec meetings. Without too much details, and then it was brought back to the last rec committee with more in-depth discussion. And so presumably this will come to council at a not so distant future date. And there will be an ask for financial contribution towards this, and so just be advised.
So the financial contribution is substantial, right? It's $15,000. It's $12,000 a contingency of $3,000. So I mean, you charge $20, you have, 1,000 people, you'll make money. If you have 800, it's close. We talked about how the snow drifter is underutilized and how we're trying to showcase it and how we're trying to bring money in. To me, like we've acquired the snow drifters, but we as North Algona Wilberforce haven't done a lot to really showcase it. It's not like people are like, thank goodness for the food co-op and thank goodness for Ambridge, but basically to me, people don't know what's going on there. So Kevin Clark is very, very gung-ho and he believes he can make this all happen. And to me, it's one big event. And maybe we showcase it and maybe it can be an annual event. And it's at a time where school is just out, people haven't left on vacation. Some people might be coming up because it's candidated to open it up. There is a contingency that if it's canceled because of rain or weather, it's not costing us really that much. I think there's a $500 cancellation fee or something like that. But Luke and I have talked about it, really a township isn't really it's not like we're in the business of hosting and running events. It's nice if an independent person would come. That being said, we haven't done a lot with that spot. So how are we showcasing? What are we doing to say, hey, this is a great place to have events? Maybe somebody else will say, I never knew this place existed. This is great. Because to me, the parking's great. It's chained in. You can have picnic tables there. He talked about bouncy castles and all that other stuff. Some of the rec people, they're in favor of it, but they just want to know more details. And they also want to know how many people, volunteers are we going to need to run this? Josh Birch from the Rankin Community and Culture Center was here at our rec committee. He's got people that he feels that can help. He helped out at the snowmobile races. So there's but it's I guess we have to move forward on this if we decide we want to do it because we got to book them right. Any questions?
I think it is a good idea. And my only thought is that, and Kevin did talk to me about it as well, that we should try and get some corporate sponsorship so that the township isn't on hook for the full amount of the money. And that way there's less risk to the municipality, because if the municipality has to upfront the full cost and it isn't successful, we all know how much feedback we will get of the less than favorable type. So I think it would be,
Sure, it's
and,
easy enough to get sponsors.
and Kevin did think it would be easy enough to get some sponsors, so.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think so too.
So like our rec committee meeting is on March the 10th. So it would be nice if
Should be
somehow,
fun, especially it's going towards Canada Day.
that's right, but if there's something I can take back to the rec committee, I don't know where I move from here on. Like, do you say of the $15,000, you need $7,000 in corporate sponsors and then we're willing? Or like, I'm not quite sure where I'm taking this because we can't like keep waiting and waiting and have to move forward.
Well, maybe I slowed it down, but I wanted to, in this, for one of my comments that I was following kind of a process with, because in your reports, you have some recommendations, and this was so new that it didn't make kind of the recommendation section in the reports.
Yeah, well, because if I was on the ball, I would have submitted my February report for this meeting, but I didn't get it in time, so you didn't see my recommendations. I'm just not sure how to move forward because we can't like,
Or we're having a special meeting, but yeah, we had those with budgets on the 25th, so.
So, bring it there.
so I can talk about it there, I can talk to.
Or we can bring a stock report there, or you can bring a report, so you can talk about it.
Okay, I'll talk to Kevin.
Yes, and there's kind of potential.
Can Kevin come to that meeting? Or not?
Sure.
Yeah.
Because if he can make a commitment for the dollar value on sponsors, I think that would certainly give you a headache. I mean, when you look around just at that corner, you've got three.
Would the Rotary ever do that or is that ever the otherwise
When you say do that, what do you mean?
sponsor?
Usually they don't sponsor, they support something that's going to be going back to the community.
Right, okay.
But you got businesses right there and tractor dealerships.
Yeah, like I think it's out there, it's just trying to hustle, like, and trying to find.
Well, I think if you put a really nice ask letter together, say to Pride, to Foodland, the county depot is right there, council can put something.
Mhm, mhm.
And I'm sure there is a bunch of number of businesses.
Right, and like, I mean, it comes back to the fact it's a rec initiative, but it's really, in a way,
It's a community initiative.
through the township though.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
It does matter.
that's right, and like, I've known in the past, BV has tried to do like a carnival or a fair and stuff like that, they've done it, not, like, obviously, it's not as successful as they wanted it to be, right? But I mean, this could be amazing.
Well, right now, one of the things that's being done through the economic development group is a duck race that's supposed to be going off. And that, which has been done in other communities through Rotary and MAPES and across the states and Canada, is making a huge amount of money. So there are things that are done, you know, indirectly through the municipality, but by the little organizations just like the rec community.
Mhm.
So I don't see such a far-fetched thing.
Like, I think it could be a great thing. I think it could showcase the snow drifters. I think it's a great facility. Like Kevin said, one of the requirements is a chain linked in area, right? The organization, the company, the person, the entity, they do all the insurance and stuff like that. So it's not, you know, I mean, the snow drifters is insured, so we have to make sure, and there'd be a little bit like garbage and stuff like that. But I mean, it could be great. Like, it's a good timing.
Yeah,
There's lots of positives,
exactly.
but once again, there is a big financial commitment to begin with.
When you have the businesses right there, you have the businesses in Golden Lane. I'm sure.
I know
Even if you said $3,500 in sponsorship,
Yeah, you probably, like, you might be able to get
you
like.
get probably more.
uh,
Yeah, that's all. Sorry.
I was just gonna say that, Kildu Agri and Richards, they've done that, antique car show and shine. And it's been very, very successful with it. My only concern would be if Kevin's gonna try and bring them in along with the tractor pull and then all the parking, it might get a little bit crowded in that area, so. I know they've done the show and shine at, the Sands in Golden Lake, that's been a number of years ago. So,
We do, I think, yeah, and you're right, like with the parking, like where you're gonna do
Yeah.
that stuff. But I guess kind of first we have to see if council will allow us to do that. Because it's no use if we do all this stuff and then people on council that's mayor. Right. Okay, so
I don't have a problem.
So moving forward, I'll invite Kevin to that meeting and then
Yeah.
I'll tell him about some stuff and maybe he'll hustle some sponsors. For them. Okay.
Any other questions regarding the recreation report? Seeing none, all in favor? And that's carried, thank you. That brings us, we have no closed meeting now at this time? No, okay. So that brings us to our confirmatory bylaw, that bylaw 2025-12 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council for February the 18th, 2025 is read a first and second time this 18th day of February 2025. Moved by Councillor Robinson, seconded by Councillor Truckwell. Read a third time and finally passed this 18th day of February 2025. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And finally, I have a motion that this February 18th, 2025 regular council meeting adjourns at 7:57 p.m. Moved by Councillor Reggie Schoenfeld, seconded by Councillor Buchwald. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.